This weekend we will celebrate Trinity Sunday, in which we confess that we have one God in three persons. When I was a vicar way back in the early 1990s, I was without a supervising pastor, and so I had to submit my sermons to the seminary for review. And when I submitted my Trinity Sunday sermon, the professor kindly wrote at the top of my paper, "As a vicar, you shouldn't preach about the Trinity." What? Are you telling me that a seminary student isn't capable of bringing clarity to a subject as mind-boggling as the Trinity? Fine. But I had a lot of deep content, and I'm sure that the congregation was well fed on that Sunday. Well, I'm going to tee the ball up again this Sunday and give it another try. I briefly thought about sending the YouTube link to my professor who was, he's still at the seminary, and ask him if, there's been any improvements over the years. But there's a part of me that worries that he might comment, "Don't preach on the Trinity." Fine. Yeah, it's complicated, and there's a whole church balcony full of heretics who've gotten it wrong, from the modalists to the docetists to Arius himself. And even when you get it right, that doesn't mean that you've brought any more focus to a reality that is really beyond human comprehension. For how can any one thing also be three, as the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are one God? The only reason that we find ourselves in such a bind is that, this is how God talks about Himself. The Old Testament creed cries out to Israel to hear that the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And then in the New Testament, St. John begins his gospel with these words, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things were made. Without Him nothing was made that has been made." And then a few verses later in 14, "The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth." And the Spirit is also there in the beginning, uncreated and yet creating with the Father and the Son. So when Jesus sends out His followers into all the world to make disciples, He calls them to baptize in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. One God, three persons. Trinity, triune, simply means three, one. So why is it so important that we have this right? Why is it so crucial that we be precise and understand what we can? Why? Well, why do you need to have a right understanding about your spouse? Isn't close enough good enough? Or your friends or family? The reason is because of love. Love wants to know the other through and through. We are loved by Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and this love begets love in us so that we would know Him accurately. So on this weekend, we will hear again who our God reveals Himself to be, and we will confess back to Him what we hear. And He will continue to refine our hearing and our understanding, just like all of our important relationships and the people in our lives, they do for us. This is who I am. Because love leads us to know and to be known. I look forward to seeing you all this weekend in worship. After I finish up with services on Sunday, Debbie and I are heading out to Northwest Kansas to see and spend a little time with my parents, whom then in 3 weeks, about then, we're going to gather with all of the family for my son Matthew's wedding. And then in July, we're headed to Kansas City for my son-in-law Sean's ordination at Bethany Lutheran in Overland Park. Our daughter Molly will also be installed as second grade teacher at their Lutheran school. So we have a pretty fun summer ahead of us. And there will also be lots of fun right here at Ascension as we offer a fresh start to our Tyler Sunday School on June 6th with Clydesdale horses and other fun events in the weeks to come. See you all then.